Morning.
Good morning, Miss Smith.
How are you?
I'm good. Miss
You wasn't
Smith,
expecting anybody so early, were you?
Oh, Miss Smith, you have a doppelganger around town.
I do what?
You have a doppelganger. You have a twin around town.
I do?
Yes, ma'am. I was at the post office on Saturday and could have sworn that I saw you.
You kidding? What does she look like?
Like you? Same hairstyle.
Well,
But she was wearing an SPCA shirt. So, and at that point I figured, like, I really don't think this
No.
is good.
I'm trying to think who it could be. I have a couple of sisters here, but not to wear the same hairstyle, but have that shirt. I've got one girl. I've got one has the hair cut real short,
Mm-hmm.
and she lets her gray show. And she's much smaller than I am. They say everyone here is a twin.
Commissioner Scriggo.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, she is? Oh, there she is. How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good. Did you do you need a drink or are you good?
I got a drink, thank you.
So the pictures are the ones in your agenda submission.
Yeah. There's a, yeah.
Yes, so just real quick. I'm not planning on showing you the program.
Now let's ask a
I'm
question.
going to ask a question.
Yeah. Understand?
That's going to be the elevation.
Yeah.
That's representation of the generator on the building. And the color.
Yeah. And that'll be only if there's a question of layout. I said we can show you the layout approach.
Yep. I'll have to put it right there.
All right.
All right.
Chairman, how are you, sir?
Ms. B, I don't need it right now, but before you leave today, I need to know if you're going to Employee Appreciation Day. I need to know what
I thought I sent you a return.
and I need to know
That shows I don't-
your food order.
I looked at the food order and I didn't sign, I said anything, but I sent that, hi, Jason.
Hey,
Thought I sent that appreciation form back. And I said I'd try to be there around 12 after.
Okay. Do you know if you want a burger or a hot dog or one of
I asked
each?
for
That's one nice thing.
What do you sell them?
We got built in place.
You want to be
But we just, the amount of people that, it's not.
Community College Board of Trustees. Oh,
Do you have a minute to talk about Turco after the
I
meeting?
think so. And I need to update you on where I'm at on the larger thing. I've got
say again.
some strategy.
I got something to say to her, but I didn't want to say
Yeah.
it,
Well,
not knowing what else
Okay.
was percolating.
All right, it's 8:30. You ready?
We got left.
That's what I want to talk to you.
We'll call this meeting of the Craven County Board of Commissioners regular session for Monday, May 16th, 2022 to order. Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Liner?
Here.
Commissioner Mark?
Here.
Commissioner McCabe?
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell? Here. Commissioner Smith? Here. Vice Chairman Booker?
Here.
Chairman Jones?
Here. If you will, please let's stand as we salute and pledge to the American flag and then remain standing for the invocation from our county attorney. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bless us, O Lord, our lawmakers, our country, our county, and each one of us as we lift our prayers to you. Bless us and keep us that our walk this day would be blameless in your sight. Guard us and guide us wherever we are called to serve today, in our offices, in our communities, or in our homes, that we would be eager to respond to you with our whole being. Would that we seek to live upright lives and keep your laws. And when our steps go wayward and our thoughts are overcome by selfish intent, do not forsake us, but call us back that we would once again desire to live according to the righteousness you set before us. May your judgment upon us today find us without fault or flaw, and may our praise to you this day and always be steadfast and shameless. In the strength of your name we pray. Amen.
Welcome to each of you to the Board of Commissioners meeting this morning, to those that are in attendance and to those that may be viewing online. I would ask for those that are in attendance this morning, if you will, please let's make sure our phones are on silent so they would not disrupt the people's meeting today. Commissioners, you have there before you your agenda packet. You've had time to review it. Are there any agenda items you desire to remove or to add?
I approve the agenda.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next, you have the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, you have the May 2nd, 2022 regular session minutes, tax releases and refunds, a solid waste budget amendment, and a sheriff's office budget amendment. Are there any items that you desire to pull from the
So
consent?
moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Or is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes. Next, Commissioners, we had under Departmental Matters, the first item would be the Health Department for new fees. We have with us Ms. Jennifer Blackman. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. The fees before you are specifically for those Medicare patients. Medicare are those patients over 65 and older that qualify for that health insurance. Part of a Medicare wellness exam, when we bring a patient in, we like to talk to them about their safety at home, the doctors they're seeing, the medications they're on. Are they at risk for falls? We check their mental health, their mental well-being, their depression level, those kind of things that you might see with someone age 65 and older. Also part of that now, they would like for us to start talking about advanced care directives. Being their patient medical home, it's important for us because they're used to seeing us and being with us. They trust us to begin those conversations for end-of-life care and what they would like and desire. So in order for us to do that and bill for that, we would have to establish those two fees here you see. The 99497 fee is the advanced care planning fee, where we spend the first 30 minutes with the patient. We do not have a fee for that, so Medicare likes to reimburse $85.93. Our proposed fee would be $86. The 99498 fee is for any advanced care planning over the 30 minutes that we initially spend with the patient. And with that, we can charge this code. We don't currently have a fee. Medicare reimburses $74.83. Our proposed fee of that is $75. And one of the benefits with doing this for the patient itself, we would begin by talking with them and ask them if this is something they're even interested in before we could move forward with it. But there's a packet we're going to hand them, like very similar to what hospice gives their patients, so that when they leave, they can take it with them if they don't want to talk about it right there. But if we do this fee, Medicare will waive any deductible or co-insurance that the payment may have responsible for that day. So that is a benefit for the patient as well.
All right, any questions for Ms. Blackman?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the new fee schedule. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Next, we have Social Services, Mr. Jeffrey Merritt. Good morning, sir.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager, we have 3 budget amendments this morning that we bring before you. The first being in regards to the Adult Protective Services Essential Services Funds. We were allocated these funds based upon the American Rescue Plan Act. And what these funds do is help provide essential services to adults who are in need of protective services or who have been substantiated. So what these would do is they would help us to allow to spend federal funds instead of county funds when we need to provide things such as, on an emergency basis, such as physical and mental health treatment, maybe assistance in personal hygiene. Most of the time what we see is trying to find appropriate shelter, especially at this time of year, like heated shelter or shelter with some type of air conditioning. A lot of times when we'll go out to situations like just recently, I think I put in your commissioner's report where we were made aware of an 80-year-old female who was left at home alone without any proper arrangements, had cognitive disabilities, and we were going through some had no running water, no heat, so we had to find alternative lodging. A lot of times we would have to pay county funds to pay for that lodging because the state doesn't provide us any, but with these we would be able to utilize these funds to pay for that lodging other than that. So until the funds are exhausted. So we're asking that these monies be appropriated in our budget to utilize in situations such as that.
Any questions for Mr. Merritt?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention that for the public, that this is 100% federally funded.
All right, any other?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $28,322. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Langer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes. Next item is the foster care funding budget amendment.
This line item is to pay for expenses mainly for room and board of those children whom we have in foster care and are eligible under Title 4E. These children are ones that what we're seeing our rates go up is because we're seeing a lot of children that we're having to place outside of our standard foster homes. I think I've been informing you in our county commissioners' reports about the challenges of doing MAP classes to license our own homes. We had some new employees, and the state didn't have anyone to train those employees to teach MAP. So we finally found someone to contract, so we're hoping to get some more county licensed homes, but in the meantime we have to use private licensed homes, and we're also seeing children who are remaining in our care because of their high needs from behavioral health. You see some of those examples that will, and they require higher levels of placement that are higher cost, level group homes, psychiatric residential treatment facilities. Those can be fairly expensive. You're paying sometimes hundreds of dollars a day. So, that's a rare case, but just to kind of let you know. We also are getting money back, but it has to go through the budget, is that the state government did pass an increase in our foster care board rates. I think we put that information in our new budget, and that went into effect January 1st, so this is kind of having some effect too, so it went up 11%. So we are increasing these funds in order to continue paying for room and board for the children that are in our care.
All right, any questions for Mr. Merritt? Hear none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second from Commissioner Smith. Any discussion on the motion? And the motion is for budget amendment in the amount of $125,000. Hear no further discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Langer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes.
And I'd like to point out, that is federally reimbursed by about 86.8% what our employee penetration rate is now, and that's based upon state participation. So it fluctuates a little bit, but usually doesn't get below 80. Our last budget amendment is that we are funds related to our DSS trust fund. There was an accounting rule, Craig can probably explain this better than me, back in December 2020 that came to the treasurer's office that where we would normally handle these funds through a bank account in our office, and we would be audited, and we would keep count of those funds for individuals who were representative pay funds or they're some type of Social Security funds. We would handle those through that, but then there was a rule that stated that it had to go set up as a special revenue fund through the county's regular budget. So what this is basically is just a pass-through. What we have is that for the monies that we collect for individuals whom we're responsible for who get Social Security funds, we would have to account for those through the regular budget, and this is money just to cover us through the rest of the year. So, as I said, it's really just a pass-through funds for those funds that we're handling for individuals who get Social Security funds. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Commissioner Liner?
On all of our people that's drawn Social Security, you get their checks, do they have a separate account, or is all this put into one account?
Well, it's put in one account, but we separate it out.
Separated?
Yeah, we have someone who handles those trusts, and she sends out something every month to show how much is in each one's account. So, yeah.
So this would be a special fund, but it would say Jane Doe, John Smith,
Yes.
Bill Jones for each individual.
Right. We have all that in our office,
Okay.
and when we cut checks, of course, we put what account, what separate.
Who it belongs to. Okay.
Yeah, right. We don't use other people's money for other people. It has to go to the person who it's for. So we can't take $50 from Jane Doe and give it to John Doe because he needs it. We don't have it there.
Well, I know you're not supposed to. I'm just asking about the accounting procedures.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was, just explaining that a little bit further for others who may not know. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So moved?
Well, if you will, hold on one
I'm
second.
sorry.
Commissioner Smith had her hand up.
Is this money a supplement to regular Social Security?
No, ma'am. It's exactly what the individual gets. So,
Why did it come through you instead of Social Security?
well, it comes from Social Security to us because these are individuals who are either representative payee for or whom we've given some legal responsibility oversight either through the clerk or through a judge. So that's why we will be in charge of these individuals. Yes.
Any other questions? Hear none, Commissioner Mitchell made a motion.
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Smith. The motion is to approve a budget amendment in the amount of $220,000. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Langer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Thank you. Y'all have
Thank
a
you,
good day.
Jeff. Appreciate it. Next item is emergency service, the conveyance of property, Ms. Stanley Kite. Good morning, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Back in 2020, the Craven County Commissioners entered into an agreement with the United Way of Coastal Carolina doing business as Craven County Disaster Recovery Alliance to obtain some FEMA camper trailers that were in excess, that were being in a staging area. We obtained those trailers with the understanding that once our legal obligation to maintain the ownership of those trailers expired, then we would relinquish that ownership back to the Craven County Disaster Recovery Alliance for the purpose of helping disaster victims. They've been using them throughout Craven County, helping different families while they're working on their homes, and including in a couple of cases where the homes are having to be completely replaced. So at this time, I think you have a copy of a resolution that was prepared by the attorney in finance to make this transaction complete so that we can relinquish ownership of those 5 FEMA trailers to the Craven County Disaster Recovery Alliance.
All right, any questions for Mr. Kite? Hear none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? And that is to approve the resolution for authorizing the conveyance of property pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160A-279. Hear no further discussion on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Next, we have Parks and Recreation, request to purchase 2 paint machines for the athletic fields. Mr. Billy Wilkes. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner's got a little head cold, so I'm going to make sure to stay away from you guys. But do have one agenda item this morning. It is a request for a budget amendment. So in fiscal year 2022, we've seen a nice increase in program participation. I think folks coming out of COVID, in addition to just wanting to be outside and doing programs. So we've had a nice increase in just everything that we're operating on with programs and with our parks, with our youth sports. They've seen a nice increase as well. So our numbers have jumped in our revenue line from what would typically be about 36 to 7,000, and it's jumped up to about 46 to 7,000 at this point in the budget year, and it keeps rising. So that's a good thing. So our department has 3 paint machines, and because of the increase, the demand for the increase in our equipment has been substantial. Right after we budgeted this year for the next year, 2023, we saw paint machines going in the shop left and right. We're having to order parts and things like that. So of the 3, we've got 1 that operates correctly. And so we need to do something about that so we can keep our programs and our special events going. So we're looking to try to purchase. That revenue line item is about $10,000 over what we projected. Your budget amendment that you have actually shows the different figures because it keeps rising. But our request is to budget $5,900 in additional revenue in the recreation fee line and increase the capital outlay $500 to $499.99 line for the $5,900 to cover the paint machines, 1 for West Craven Park and 1 for Creekside Park. And that is a request of the board for that budget amendment this morning.
All right, any questions for Mr. Wilkes?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the budget amendment. Discussion on the motion. I do have one item.
Okay.
Billy, you made comment that you have one that's working. How old is the paint machine that's working?
Yeah, the one that's working is probably about 7 or 8 years old. I'd have to go back and look. The other 2, I know we bought in 2008 and 2009 because I looked those up. So they're just under that 15-year threshold. We were hoping to get another year out of them. They're giving us all kinds of issues. The other one is the newest one we have at West Craven. So that one's about 7 years old.
The only comment I would make is you got the revenue there. I think you've made a comment. You're staying pretty active.
Yes, sir.
And you're using them.
Right.
It's an essential part.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I just bring it up for discussion for commissioners to maybe instead of 2, let's go ahead and replace all 3 and let them start out with a clean slate.
You've got the money.
I make a motion.
Well, we have a motion on the floor.
I'll amend my motion to include the 3.
Okay, we have a motion.
Amend my second.
Okay, he amends the second. I don't know what that total would be off the top of my head. You know.
Will they run a piece?
They're $29.50 each, Jack.
Okay.
So 3,000, 9,000.
So just call it 9,900.
Okay. Have a motion and a second to approve $9,900 for 3 paint machines. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes. Thank you, Billy.
Came in for 2 and you got 3.
Thank you.
All right, next is planning subdivision for approval, Mr. Don Bumgardner. Good morning, sir.
The planning board met back on April the 28th and recommended the Reedy Creek subdivision Phase 6 for approval. The property was surveyed by Robert Davis. It is actually owned by a group called Reedy Creek LLC. It's over in Township 7. It's located off of Goose Creek Road. It contains 19 lots on approximately 12.8 acres, and each of the lots is being proposed to be served by county water and individual septic systems. In order for this subdivision to be recorded, a vote would be needed to approve the subdivision.
Okay, questions from the board? Commissioner Booker, I think this is your district.
It is, and I recommend that we go forward with this.
Okay, any other questions? Hear none. Is that a motion?
Yeah, motion. I make the motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the subdivision, Reedy Creek Phase 6. It's a final. Any further discussion on the motion? Hear none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
All right.
Thank you, Don.
Yes, sir.
Next, we have with us Captain Scott from the Sheriff's Office and talk about a Jag Grant Award. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How was everyone?
Doing well.
For the opportunity. Yes, 2021, I began working on this grant with GCC with JAG for our newly, what we hope to incorporate as our mobile field force, civil unrest team. And the grant would help provide the items and equipment that we would need to make the team successful. It looks like everything in here would just be a one-time purchase other than supplies for the paper ball guns. And it's a zero match from the federal government.
All right, any questions for Captain Scott? And the request is for $18,309 as far as a budget amendment to approve these funds coming in. Do I have a motion?
So move. Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hear none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes. Thank you, Captain. Appreciate it, sir.
Okay.
Have a great day. Be safe. Next, we have solid waste authorization to execute the Worcester Shale recycling agreement. Ms. Stephen Astor, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. This morning I have a Worcester Shale recycling agreement for your consideration. North Carolina Coastal Federation has received a grant to purchase 3 10-yard dumpsters designated for Oyster Shale recycling. North Carolina Coastal Federation has expressed their desire to partner with the Coastal Environmental Partnership landfill, otherwise known as CRSWAMA, in the Craven County Solid Waste Department to utilize existing facilities as added services for citizens here in Craven County. The Craven County Solid Waste Department has acknowledged the Croatan Convenience Center as the best facility for one of these dumpsters. The Croatan Convenience Center is centrally located and is located at 7240 US 70 East in New Bern. The other 2 dumpsters will be placed at the Grantsboro Transfer Station and the Craven County Landfill, which is operated by the Coastal Environmental Partnership. Under this agreement, the Craven County would allow citizens to bring their used oyster shells to the Croatan Convenience Center for disposal at no cost to Craven County or Craven County citizens. Once the dumpster is full, the Coastal Environmental Partnership will haul the dumpster to an approved North Carolina Coastal Federation Recycling Center. This is a 1-year self-renewing agreement that the county has the possibility to get out of at any time they would like. The Solid Waste Department requests that the Craven County Board of Commissioners authorize the county manager to execute the agreement shown in Attachment 8 with the North Carolina Coastal Federation and Coastal Environmental Partnership for oyster shell recycling at the Croatan Convenience Center.
All right, any questions for Mr. Astor?
I have a question. Stephen, I've never heard of recycling oyster shells until I read this. What exactly happens to the shells? They go into the dumpster's full, it's taken where, and what happens? Do you know?
Yeah, a little bit. The North Carolina Coastal Federation is, well, I can read you a little bit about them, is their nonprofit Coastal Federation goals are obtained through a variety of program and partnerships with people from all walks of life through their efforts to clean coastal waterways, living shorelines, thriving oysters, effective coastal management, and marine debris removal. The Federation of North Carolina coastal communities continue to work together. So my understanding of the program is we would take the dumpster to an approved location. I think the closest one to that facility is the North River facility. They would go through a process of cleaning the oysters, staging the oysters, and actually building artificial reefs with these oysters for oyster larvae. So juvenile oysters attached to the shell of the oysters. and when they get to a particular size, they will then relocate them to the water. That's my synopsis of it. So
A couple things, Commissioner Booker. One is oyster shells are banned from the landfill, so they actually don't have a true disposal mechanism. A lot of people use their own sort of ways, driveways, put them in the woods, whatever. So this would be, as Stephen said, a way you could create an artificial reef. And they also do programs where they actually seed the shells and create sort of a harvest of oysters out there in the Sound or wherever they may do this type of program. So, but they can be a plague. I mean, if you've got a big party or something, you got a big mound of shells, there's not a lot of ways to get rid of them.
very well said, Ken.
Thank you.
Other questions? How often will they come and pick it up? I mean, is it when it gets full, or?
We're not exactly sure how this program, how far it's going to take off. We do have an agreement. This agreement does cover any time that we want the dumpster emptied, that the Coastal Environmental Partnership will come take the dumpster. I'm suspecting anywhere from a bushel to 5 bushels a week in a 10-yard dumpster. So we're looking maybe bi-weekly dump.
All right, any other questions? All right.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second to authorize the county manager to execute the agreement with the North Carolina Coastal Federation and CRSAMA for the Worcester Shale recycling. This would be at the Croatan Convenience Center. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Stephen. Item 9 is approval and award of the Lawson Creek Booster Pump Station Project. Mr. Gene Hodges. Good morning.
Good morning. Like I said last meeting, I don't travel light. I got an entourage here with me. So when Hurricane Florence struck Craven County, the Lawson Creek Pump Station was irreparably damaged. The pump station is a subsurface vault that contains pumps, pipes, valves, electrical controls that interconnects the river, under the river, the 2 water systems that Craven County operates. The pump's critical to Craven County's plan to reduce the amount of water that's drawn out of the Black Creek Aquifer per state of North Carolina regulations. On June 17, 2019, the County Board of Commissioners selected CGS Conveyance as the engineer to design and oversee the repairs of this critical component of the water system. On September 8, 2020, the Board of Commissioners approved the first phase of the repair the first phase of this repair project that entailed the fabrication and installation of an interim bypass pump to connect the 2 water systems while the permanent pump is designed, fabricated, and installed. The interim pump has been installed, has been in use since the summer of 2021. Currently, the water system that is supplied from the water treatment plant on Lewis Farm Road is providing approximately 500,000 gallons a day to the system that's located in northwest Craven. So it's pumping the water from the water system and what's being generated down at the new water treatment plant up into the northwest water system. Next step is the fabrication and installation of a permanent booster pump to be housed in an elevated pump station with backup power generation that will be elevated above the surveyed high water mark from Hurricane Florence. Our request for proposals, RFP, was issued on March 14, 2022. Pre-bid meeting was held on March 24th. Originally, the bid opening date was March 12th. My days are messed up, sorry about that. But there were no bidders. The bid solicitation was reopened with a due date of April 20th, so that original bid date was April the 12th. This time we received 4 bids for this project. The bids ranged in price from $966,692.11 to $1,307,710.50. The low bidder was James L. Caton Utilities. The certified bid tabs included in the attachment. CGS Conveyance performed reference checks on this firm, and all references received were positive. The recommendation from CGS Conveyance is to award the project to James L. Caton Utilities in the amount of $966,692.11. Included in this packet, along with the certified bid tab, is a recommendation of award from the CGS Conveyance, a detailed engineering site plan, and photos of various structures that depict the aesthetics of the building that will house the booster pump station. Attached is a project ordinance amendment and related budget amendment in the amount of $1,063,693 that funds this phase of the project. the amount is broken down as follows: construction of $966,693, contingency of $97,000 for a total of $1,063,693. The request is for the Board of Commissioners to approve a project ordinance amendment and associated budget amendment in the amount of $1,063,693 to fund this project and to authorize the county manager to execute the agreement with James L. Caton Utilities for this phase of the repairs to the Lawson Creek Booster Pump Station.
Okay, before we take questions, Mr. County Manager or Gene, I want to ask you a question. We've got three different figures. Under your Fund 16 update ordinance on attachment 9, you've got $1,867,000. If you go to the budget amendment page, you got a total of $2,127,000, and then in the agenda packet it says $1,063,000. So what are, out of these three, which one are?
Let me just lay out what the different ones are, and Gene, you'll have to help me
Sure.
here. So the $1,063,693 is the cost of construction with a contingency based on the bids. The $1,867,456 is that exact same thing, along with the architect and engineering fees.
And the Phase 1
And
construction.
the Phase 1 that include the interim solution.
Interim solution. So this is the whole packet of that repair.
And then the $2,127,386 is an unfortunate accounting mechanism that we have to do on these type of capital projects, where you've got to take the money out of a reserve account, put it in the actual account, and then budget it. And I'm looking at Craig. So it actually hits twice, but it's an accounting mechanism. It's still the same price of $1,063.
So today,
$1,063,000.
1 million. So today, the commissioners need, in reality, to approve all three, correct?
What you're approving, what you're approving is the project ordinance amendment, which it reflects that $1,867,000 that we talked about. So again, that's adding the permanent construction to the original construction, so you've encapsulated that entire project in one project. And then the actual funding of this phase is the $1,063,693.
Okay. All right. I confused us all, but anyway, the questions now for team. Commissioner Mitchell.
Question, looking at the representative pictures, you've got a building, a generator, and a elevated building.
Right. We're going to show the pictures right here so everybody can see, so we can talk them.
Yeah, which is what?
Okay. So this is a picture of the wash house that's currently at Lawson Creek Park.
Right.
The idea is that go back, Steve. The idea is that we're going to match the color of the exterior of our building to follow the same aesthetic of what they've already got.
Okay.
So the next page is why our building's going to look a little different is, go back to the middle one, thank you, is that we're going to have a building that's going to look like this one with a generator on a sled next to it, just like you're seeing in this image here. And then
It's going to be the color of the other one.
it's going to be the color of the other one. And then on the next page, please, it's going to be elevated.
Right.
So you're going to see, so basically you're going to take all three of these pictures and put it together. So it's going to look like the building in the middle, elevated above the high water mark, but it's going to match the color and the aesthetics.
But it's going to be gray.
Of the city's already existing structures.
Gene, what's I know that looks to be about 7 feet. What's your elevation, bottom floor elevation of your building?
This is Chris Winley with,
Hey, Chris.
with our engineer firm.
So we're going to be about 5 feet off the existing grade level, so we'll be a little bit lower than this.
Okay.
And that'll be above that high water mark.
So the bottom is the high water mark.
The high water mark, I believe, was 211, we're 213, and the existing ground elevation will be 208. So the bottom of that elevated platform will be 5 feet off the ground, and then the building is approximately 10 foot tall, and will have a slight pitch to the roof, very similar to the back down.
So
it'll have a blue tin roof. Too.
soup to nuts, 15 feet, top to bottom.
15, yeah.
Okay.
And we've got a vegetative buffer we're proposing to be around it, all on 3 sides other than the highway side. We've got some shrubs that'll be on that side, and all that's been reviewed and approved by Foster Hughes and City
Good.
Right. So the stilts will be camouflaged with landscaping.
Yes, ma'am. There'll be a buffer around the entire
Okay.
perimeter.
As long as the water don't go to 16 feet, we're in good shape.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the project ordinance amendments and associated budget amendment, authorize the county manager to prepare and execute agreement with James Heating Utilities to perform the work. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, if you will, please call the roll.
Commissioner Langer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes.
And I'd be remiss, is this group met Dale Booth, who's our water superintendent? You been with us how long now?
5 months, I
About
believe.
5 months. You want to speak to safety?
Welcome, Dale.
Hey, how you guys doing? I think I've met a few of you all, but happy to be here in Craven County. I don't know if you guys have a little bit of my background, but I come from water treatment 15 years at Greenville Utilities, dealing with their water treatment system. Graduate of East Carolina University, master's degree from NC State University in environmental assessment, and hopefully we can work together to bring the Craven County Water Department into the 21st century. I'm big on progress, so if you guys have anything out there, any suggestions or whatnot, feel free to reach out to me. So that's what we're here for.
Any questions for Mr. Booth? Well, definitely on behalf of the board, we welcome you
Yes,
to the
sir.
team, and we've already interacted with you, and thank you for what you're doing
Yes, sir.
for the
Thank
citizens of this county.
Yes, sir.
And all of you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day. All right, item 10 is finance, the fines and forfeitures, budget amendment, Mr. Craig Warren. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
On behalf on your agendas this morning, one budget amendment for your consideration, and that is related to the fines and forfeitures that we collect via our county clerk of court. And they are, these fines and forfeitures are collected by the county and then remitted to the school system. We originally budgeted $375,000 at the beginning of the fiscal year, and to date we have collected $473,000, and it's projected that through the end of the year will be roughly $568,000, pretty close to that number. So I'm here before you this morning in order to ask for an additional $260,000 that would go towards increasing the fines and forfeitures revenue line and the corresponding payment to the school system.
All right, first, are there any questions? Commissioner Liner.
Great.
Yes, sir.
So the $260,000 is above and beyond of what we put in the budget to give the school this year.
That's correct. We budgeted $375,000 and we've exceeded that.
So they were expecting the 375.
Yes, well, yes, and this number is not necessarily in their requested total.
Right, but this 260s is new to them, and it's going to go to them. This will go into their general fund, their reserve fund, or their general fund?
That's correct. These funds would go into their general.
So this money could be pulled out of their reserve fund and used in next year's budget.
It can be used however they determine to use it.
All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
As I read this, I happened to be kind of reading it out loud, and my wife heard me read it, and she said, "Why does it go to the school system?" And I said, "I don't know, but I'm guessing it's a general statute. The state probably mandates that. Is that accurate?"
That is correct.
Thank you.
Other questions? If you will, go back and tell us what you said you were projecting for total.
Based on what we've collected so far through April, which is $473,000 approximately, we based on those numbers, we should see around $568,000 come through. I'm asking for a little bit more and to give myself a little bit of some wiggle room.
That's what I was getting at, because they don't. I was trying to add it up, and it didn't.
That last check will come in July.
Okay.
So I'll be making one last payment for the year. So.
Good enough. Good enough. Good explanation. All right. Any other questions? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the budget amendment?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Lainer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mark?
Yes.
Commissioner McKay?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Booker?
Yes.
Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners.
Good one.
We all have many responsibilities as a Board of Commissioners, but I think all of us at the top of that list, well, first is representing the citizens, responding to them, but secondly is the budget. And it's that time of year again, time I think we all look forward to, and the discussions we have. We've got a busy few weeks ahead of us, and today is the day that staff presents to us the 2022-23 proposed budget. So at this time, I'll ask them to come forward and begin the process.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to hand out the budgets as I'm walking up.
Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction.
Christmas.
It does feel like Christmas. Mr. Chairman, I echo everything you said. I feel like this is the single most important piece of legislation this board handles each year because it touches every department. Just like this morning, we have a rather robust agenda, but there's still another 20 departments you didn't see. But in this document, you're going to review the activities of every single one of those. So I get excited because it also gives me and my staff the opportunity to do that as well.
It's going to help.
Everybody got a copy of the budget? Okay. I'm going to start with the budget message, and I have a few additional comments. Once I'm done with that, then I'll open the floor for any questions we have. As the general statute says, I'm to present to you a balanced budget. That's what you have in front of you, and I'm going to now read the budget message, which is included as part of that document. Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Commissioners, it's my privilege to present the recommended Craven County budget for fiscal year 2023. As proposed, this budget incorporates the priorities and policy direction of the Board of Commissioners while continuing to provide the highest quality of services to the citizens of Craven County in the most fiscally responsible manner. The recommended general fund budget for fiscal year 2023 is $132,139,807 without a fund balance appropriation, and recommends that the ad valorem tax rate for fiscal year 2023 remain the same as the current year at 56 cents per $100 of valuation. While there is no fund balance appropriated in the recommended budget, local governments are strongly encouraged to maintain adequate fund balances to ensure against unanticipated events that could adversely affect the county's financial position and jeopardize the continuation of county services. As such, the county continues to budget and operate in a fiscally responsible manner, which has provided a level of fund balance sufficient to accomplish this while remaining within range of our peers statewide. Craven County's available fund balance was 28.24% of expenditures as of June 30th, 2021, which was your last audit. While other similar-sized counties with a population of 100,000 or more had fund balances averaging 33.19%, and all 100 counties averaging 34.49%. As we approach the new fiscal year, the county's financial position continues to remain stable, with moderate growth as we transition from several years of budget uncertainty and return to a normal fiscal environment. Revenues collected during the first 10 months of the current fiscal year have exceeded last year's totals by $6.3 million, while for the same time period, expenditures year-to-date through April are running ahead by approximately $415,000, virtually the same expenditure level as last year. The increase in revenues is in part a direct result of the strong growth experienced in commercial and residential development within Craven County. New home starts are up 9.4% over last year through April, while the number of building inspections have increased by 9.9%, which is consistent with pre-recession levels. Similar to last year, sales tax collections continue to outperform all expectations as they are currently trending 9.1% higher than the same time last year through April. Additionally, the county's experienced enhanced revenues from multiple other sources during the year, including $1.8 million more than anticipated from the Medicaid sales tax hold harmless distribution, $2.8 million in insurance proceeds for Hurricane Florence repairs at the Convention Center, and approximately $1 million in health department funding related to COVID-19 vaccine administration. While the economic conditions experienced so far during the pandemic have been positive, sources of uncertainty have emerged in rapid inflation and disruptions in the global supply chain. It is unknown at this time what impact these factors will have on future budget projections. Expenditures and transfers out for the first 10 months are virtually the same as last year, resulting in an overall increase in expenditures of less than 1%. Although total expenditures were virtually the same as last year through April, some functional areas experienced significant variances from the previous year. General government expenditures were down by 11.7%, which was a result of the county winding down spending related to COVID-19 pandemic response. Public safety expenditures were up 8.1% due to the county taking over the school safety program in all Craven County schools, resulting in the addition of numerous school resource officers. The county ended fiscal year 2021 in a strong financial position, adding approximately $10.7 million to fund balance. Higher than projected revenues, along with the county's conservative approach to spending, limited the use of fund balance. Although the county did not make a transfer into the capital reserve fund during the fiscal year, approximately $193,000 was used towards budgeted capital items and projects, thus reducing the fund balance in the capital reserve fund by approximately $183,000 for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021. As we have learned from past events such as Hurricane Florence and the COVID-19 pandemic, funding of the capital reserve fund, when excess revenues or savings are realized, continues to serve as a critical part of the county's financial position. The capital reserve fund provides for future needs while helping to prevent tax increases and borrowing costs to fund much needed capital items. There are a variety of factors that have a significant impact on the proposed budget before you. The current assessed value for fiscal year 2023 is estimated to be $10.457 billion, which is $447 million more, or a 4.47% increase over the estimate of $10.01 billion used for fiscal year 22 budget, or last year. While the county's experienced significant growth in the tax base over the past year, much of the estimated increase is related to registered motor vehicles. As a result of supply shortages on microchips used in motor vehicle production, the values of new and used vehicles have risen almost 30% from the previous year due to supply and demand. The growth in motor vehicle values is expected to be temporary only for the next fiscal year while supply chains catch up to demand. Excuse me. Total revenues and expenditures each amount to $132,139,807 in the recommended budget for fiscal year 2023. This represents an increase of $2.6 million or 2% compared to the current budget of $129,520,316 through the end of April 2022. Property tax revenues are budgeted at a 4.9% increase, while sales tax revenues are budgeted at a 12.1% increase over last fiscal year's budgeted amounts. Sales tax collections have outperformed virtually all projections and expectations. Direct federal aid to taxpayers through the American Rescue Plan and other programs like the Enhanced Child Tax Credit gave consumers a boost in disposable income, driving the increases in collections. Additionally, rising inflation has also impacted collections, with both factors contributing to double-digit increases in sales tax collections over the previous 2 years. The level of sales tax growth is not expected to continue. However, some modest growth is still expected. The amount budgeted for sales tax next year is based on the last 12 months of actual receipts. Transfers into the general fund from the capital reserve are down approximately $663,000 from the current budget. Capital expenditures and major repair projects were closely examined, and only because of the capital reserve fund many were able to be funded. Overall capital outlay costs are down approximately $3 million compared to the current budget. Out of the total $3.8 million in capital expenditures budgeted for fiscal year 2023, $2.4 million is funded with transfers from the capital reserve fund. Most capital expenditures funded in this budget include the maintenance and replacement of vital infrastructure and technology, facilities, and recreational improvements. In addition to the capital items funded in this budget, the county is planning for several major projects heading into the next fiscal year. One of these is the continuation of the county's Enterprise Resource Planning ERP software replacement project. With the accounting, payroll, and human resources modules completed, resources will be allocated toward implementing the cashiering, utility billing, and permitting modules. Phase 2 of the ERP project included replacing the county's tax system. All 3 tax modules, consisting of collections, billing, and real estate appraisal, have been implemented and are ready for the upcoming 2023 countywide revaluation. Hurricane Florence recovery efforts also continue into the new year with the continued restoration of the courthouse complex, the elevation of Lawson Creek Pump Station, which you just heard this morning, and the repair and replacement of the water system's telemetry communication infrastructure with fiber. A contract has been awarded on the Lawson Creek Pump Station project, while the final design and scope of the courthouse complex and water telemetry system projects have been finalized. FEMA mitigation funds will be utilized towards the courthouse complex and Lawson Creek Pump Station. Funding for the water telemetry system will come entirely from the American Rescue Plan. Other major projects planned for fiscal year 2023 include the construction of the new Carts building, budgeted at $1,870,000, and the construction of the county's first fueling center, budgeted at $1,229,240. Both projects are funded entirely with county reserves and are part of the strategic implementation of the county's master facilities plan. Total salaries and benefits in the recommended budget are $4.9 million higher than the current adopted budget. Of this increase include $1.9 million includes a full year of the 5% cost of living adjustment approved by commissioners in December 2021. The fiscal 2023 budget continues this investment in its greatest asset by recommending a 2% cost of living increase for employees. This accounts for both increases resulting from inflation, while also maintaining the competitiveness of Craven County in the current labor market. As a side note, the cost of living factor, Gene, I believe you sent to me last week, has inflation at 8.9%. So just to give you, I think that was last week, is that correct?
Yeah, that's Southern Region.
All right, for Southern Region, 8.9%. Recommended in the fiscal 2023 budget are a total of 17 new full-time positions, 1 IT Assistant Director of Systems Administration, 1 IT Database Analyst, 1 Deputy Tax Collection Clerk 1 Deputy Sheriff Investigator, 1 Deputy Sheriff Investigator Narcotics, 1 Deputy Sheriff Patrol, 1 Deputy Sheriff Child Support Enforcement, and 1 Jail Navigator, 1 County Engineer, 2 Pharmacy Technicians, 1 Income Maintenance Caseworker 2 for Family and Child Medicaid, 1 Income Maintenance Caseworker 2 Adult Medicaid, 1 Social Work IANT, 1 Social Work Supervisor 3 In-Home Services, 1 Veteran Service Officer, and 1 Water Treatment Plant Operator. Total benefit costs are budgeted at approximately $950,000 higher than the current budget due to increases in the county's health and dental premiums and retirement system rates. So far this year, insurance claims have been running higher than last year's totals. To offset this trend, the budget includes a 5% increase to both county and employee premiums. The retirement system employer contribution rates are also scheduled to increase by 0.74%, effective July 1st, 2022. This accounts for $511,000 of the total increase in benefit costs in next year's budget. Included in this budget is an additional 1% 401k match incentive for all participating county employees and increases in the minimum starting wage for all non-seasonal part-time employees. Overall current expense funding for Craven County Schools is recommended to increase by $300,000 to $22,489,991 per the Board of Education's request, and continues the county's investment and support for our local school system. Craven County schools face complex and varied budget challenges similar to Craven County. While the recommended funding amount continues Craven County's financial commitment to the school system, there are long-term issues that will need to be addressed in future budgets. As revenues from federal and state sources tied to enrollment numbers continue to decline, the cost to operate and maintain aging school facilities does not. The issue will be ongoing and will likely need to be addressed over the next several budget cycles. Like last year, forecasted enrollment numbers by Craven County Schools continue to show a decline in enrollment trends that will continue over the next several years in all grade levels. Current budget request funds the retirement system contribution at 22.89%. Thank you. Healthcare premiums at $7,019 per employee and the local supplement at 10%. The requested capital outlay request is $2,002,453, an increase of $44,453 from the current year's budget. It includes no Category 1 capital projects over $100,000. There are various repairs and enhancements throughout the school system, including boiler and chiller repairs, safety and security upgrades, and renovation of the culinary arts room at New Bern High School. Also including the capital outlay amount requested is $900,000, which continues the funding for the system's Apple iPad lease agreement. Proposed budget funds Craven County's community college requests current expense at $4,304,125, which represents an increase of $202,700 over the current year. The requested increase will go towards additional personnel costs for salaries, retirements, and health benefits. Capital outlay for the college was budgeted at the previously agreed upon baseline allocation of $500,000. Projects planned for this year include renovations and upgrades to various classrooms, offices, and restrooms throughout the campus footprint, HVAC upgrades at the Barker, Brock, Ward, and Kelso buildings, and miscellaneous roof, parking lot, sidewalk, and road repairs. The proposed fiscal year 2023 budget provides balance and fiscal responsibility in addressing the many needs across the county while maintaining the lowest tax rate possible for the citizens of Craven County. Craven County values the competitive edge maintaining a low tax rate offers in areas such as economic development and retirement relocations. As always, there is still a possibility the General Assembly may take actions that could affect the county budget. We will continue to monitor for those potential impacts. However, I believe Craven County continues to be well-positioned fiscally to address any challenges that may come forward. I wish to commend the department heads, staff, and agencies for their cooperation and valuable assistance in this very challenging budget process. I would also like to thank my budget team that consists of our Finance Director, Craig Warren, Assistant County Manager, Gene Hodges, Human Resource Director, Amber Parker, IT Director, Steve Bennett, Budget Analyst, Sarah Williams, and Assistant to the County Manager, Lauren Wargo, for their essential contributions in developing this budget. I look forward to working with you and finalizing the fiscal 2023 budget. The recommended budget shall immediately be available for public inspection in the County Manager's office and posted on the county website. I recommend the board schedule a public hearing at 7 p.m. on Monday, June 6, 2022, and conduct budget work sessions as required. Submitted by the County Manager.
Before we entertain comments, questions to the County Manager, we need a motion to set the public hearing for 7 p.m. June the 6th.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to set the public hearing. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. All right, now we come back to the board. Any comments or questions from the Board of Commissioners? Well, Jack, I think, number one, I commend staff, as always. You spent a lot of time. For folks from the outside looking in, this is not done in a day's time or a week's time. I mean, this is several months of hard work by a large group of individuals, and we commend you, number one, for bringing a budget that does not raise the property tax. I think that's been a desire of all the commissioners on this board. We did not want to do that. We still want to provide services for the citizens, adequate services, and not having gone through it yet, but in what you've outlined in your budget message, I think you've addressed a lot of concerns that we have as a Board of Commissioners. And definitely, commissioners, during budget discussion, will have items that we might want to add to this budget, some things, or even might be some things we might want to take out. But that's part of the process. All right, having said that, anything else from the board? All right, commissioners, yes.
Let me add one thing.
Please.
This is my parting comment on the budget. I don't know if you'll get it today, Lauren. They will get it today. There's a document, and many of you, all of you have seen this document before. We call it the County Bible. The reason is this is the document that will guide you or any citizen through the budget. If there's any question about a functionality of why a department does something, why a department exists, how many people are there, what does someone do, why do we do it, is in this document. Each of you will be receiving a copy of this. There'll be several available, and we'll also post it on the website for the citizens to review. But this is a great guide. If you use your functional area in the budget, flip to your page in your supplement, it'll tell the story. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All right, Jack, several questions I have for you. The first question would be, we need to recess this meeting today, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So we would recess this meeting today at the end to come back for the budget work session, which will begin Thursday, May 19th
Yes, sir.
at 8:30 a.m. in this room.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it is projected on our itinerary that we will be here Thursday all day, Friday all day, and come back Monday all day, and then we'll go from there.
That's what I have.
All right. Any questions from commissioners on that timeline? All right. Anything else from?
No, sir. Also, while I'm here, just go ahead and my manager's report. really an uninteresting 2 weeks prior to this, mainly tidying up the budget, variety of meetings with the project, which we'll talk a little bit more with you during budget about a Golden Leaf grant opportunity. Once every, I believe it's 4 or 5 years, Golden Leaf selects a group of counties who are eligible for a grant program. The county oversees that submission process. We do have at least 2 projects that have been submitted by outside agencies, which I'll be bringing before you. It's not part of the budget because it's not our money, but we do have to submit the projects to Golden Leaf if we desire. So that's the only thing. I saw 2 really good projects that came forward. Hadn't had time to really sit down with them and go through them completely, but they looked okay. Good. That's all I have.
Any further questions? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. All right, Board, the next item we have is appointments. You have there before you pending, current, and upcoming appointments. Under pending, you have the Community Child Protection Team, Craven County Board of Adjustments, Craven County Clean Sweep, and the Board of Equalization and Review. As you know, some of them we're waiting until the new bylaws has been passed, come into effect in July. But are there any nominations for any of these? All right, hearing none, we will move to the list for current. The first item on the current, you have the Craven Community College Board of Trustees. In your agenda packet, you had application for Augustus Drury Willis, and then also we received, after the packet went out, an application from Mr. Stephen Sella, which should be on your at your seats there. Do we have nominations?
Yes, sir, we do. And since I sit on the Craven Community College Board of Trustees, this is a topic that I think is very important. I'd like to nominate Mr. Stephen Sella. He owns Sella Ford. They are longtime members of the community. I'm a big proponent of the Volt Center and the trades education that we are ramping up at the college. It's 3 times over the protected enrollment now. Many of those are automotive-type trades, and I think having someone from that industry in this area would be very valuable to the Board of Trustees and to the college.
Okay. We have the nomination of Mr. Stephen Sella. Are there any additional nominations?
Make a motion to nominate Drew Willis.
All right, we have the nomination for Augustus Drury Willis.
Yes, Willis.
Are there any other nominations? All right, Commissioners, you have 2 nominations before you. What we will ask is that the clerk would call the roll. If you will, either call out Mr. Sella's name or Mr. Willis's name. And this does fill the seat that's held currently by Jennifer Dacey. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Liner,
Mr. Willis.
Commissioner Mark,
Mr. Willis.
First of all, I'm going to question who that we voting on here? You got one applicant.
Community College Board of Trustees. It's Gus Willis, who his application was in your agenda packet, and then Mr. Stephen Sella. That's his application was on you at your seat when you got here.
Okay.
Commissioner McKay,
Stephen.
Mitchell,
Sella.
Commissioner Smith,
Willis, I guess.
Vice Chairman Booker,
Willis.
Chairman Jones.
Willis. All right, so Mr. Gus Willis received the highest number, so he will be appointed to the Craven Community College Board of Trustees. All right, thank you. The next one is the Fireman's Relief Fund Board of Trustees. You have there Dennis Willis, Mr. Wilson, I'm sorry. Brian, you'll have to help me with that name.
Will Howard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a nomination. Reappoint both.
Yeah, they have,
responded.
Patty has indicated that they are interested.
Okay. We have a nomination for both of them. We'll just take those 2 seats. Are there any additional nominations for those 2? Hearing none, we will set them by acclamation. And the next one would be Mr. Marlo Van Jones, who Commissioner Mark represents Vanceburg.
Yeah.
There's not a vacant seat. That was just there if we didn't hear from the other individuals.
Okay, I would
we have.
propose Mr. Jones then, if he's willing to serve.
But there's not a vacant seat.
Well, he
Is that a
doesn't.
vacant seat?
Well, his name shouldn't even been put in there
Yeah.
because he doesn't represent Township 6. He
Okay.
represents Township 1.
All right, my mistake.
Okay, and not trying to, just point of clarification, so, all right, so, I'm sorry about that. All right, next would be the EMS Services. You have 2 individuals there, Alexandra and Jonathan. You see the last names there. Are there any additional nominations? Do you have a nomination there?
Recommend both be reappointed.
Okay, we have nominations. Are there any additional? They will set them by acclamation. Next would be the Craven Aging Planning Board. You have there the client rep, Miss Anita Douglas.
Jason, if you wouldn't mind, Chairman, if you would hold that till the next meeting.
Okay, is
I
that,
need to reach out to her.
all right, is that a consensus? We'll defer consideration. All right, next would be the Fire Tax Commissioners for Township 5 Harlow, Mr. James
You
Hendricks.
wish to be reappointed.
All right, we have a nomination for Mr. Hendricks. Are there any additional nominations? Here none, we've set by acclamation. Next will be the Craven County Social Services Board, Mr. Rex Bennett, seeks reappointment.
I would recommend Rex Bennett.
Okay, we have a nomination for Mr. Bennett. Are there any additional nominations? Here none, he will be accepted by acclamation. Next will be the Coastal Carolina Regional Airport Authority, Mr. Bill Pope, seeks reappointment.
Make a nomination to reappoint Mr.
Okay,
Pope.
we have a nomination for Mr. Pope. Are there any additional nominations? Here none, he will be accepted. Acclamation. And Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, you have 2 there, Ms. Jennifer Dacey and Mr. Robert Brinson, who seek reappointment. Do I have a nominations?
Make a nomination to reappoint.
All right, we have a nomination for both. Are there any additional nominations? Here none, we will set them by acclamations. All right, any other current commissioners that are not on our list? All right, here none, we'll move. You see the upcoming terms expired in May and June. Please take note of them. All right, that should complete our appointments for today. Next item would be the County Attorney's Report, Mr. Grady. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I have one item for your consideration this morning. It is final approval for surplus property acquired by the county through the tax foreclosure process. The property is located at 107 Blueberry Lane. It is in Township 5 with a parcel ID number of 5-014-216. The initial offer was $2,430. We've completed the upset bid process without any competing bids. So the $2,430 is the final bid. The original taxes and cost of foreclosure on this parcel were $1,508.33, and the tax value is $2,430. The exact amount of the bid, it is my recommendation that the board consider giving final approval to this.
All right,
So moved.
we have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution approving the conveyance, partial number 5-014-216. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, next we have Commissioner's reports. Commissioner Smith, begin with you today. How you?
I'm doing
You're doing well.
I have nothing new to report. I'm busy
All right.
preparing for this election, and everything seems to be going fairly well.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
won't know until tomorrow.
How well it's going.
Commissioner Liner.
2 things, Chairman. Airport board meeting last week. Got one coming up again Tuesday. DOT has reached out to us for our share for the study to move the road. So we're moving ahead with that. Looks like the state has found some money as well.
That's good.
For that study, so that study will be moving on. They've come forward to us for that. Give you a heads up now, when we go into budget Thursday and Friday, be prepared when we talk aging planning board that there's going to be some confusion because we requested that the board come, and Jack's budget was already done. State told us we were going to get the same amount of money we got last year, so we planned on that and put the budget forward that way. Well, Friday, we got the state's budget, and it's $4,500 less. So hopefully we can talk about how Jack wants to do it, approving the budget the way it is, and then coming back in July and modifying it when we get all of the departments in and pull $4,500 out of the departments to make the balance it. It's no cost to us other than the match, which is $500 or so, 10% of that. So just be prepared for that. It's confusing. They changed it 3 times on us by the time we got it Friday. So right now, as of Friday, we're $4,500 short than what we had in the budget that we were told to go forward with. So it's no reflection on the committee or anything else. They told us we was getting one thing and came forward and gave us completely opposite.
Is that across the state cut?
Yes. Yes.
Which they weren't supposed to do.
No.
There was supposed to be no cuts in this program for, was it 3 years?
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Did they give you any explanation why?
Just said the formula worked out that way. They had a different formula. That's all they'd tell us. Other than that, sir, thank you.
All right. Commissioner Mitchell.
Yes, 3 things, sir. One, congratulations to all of the graduates from Craven Community College last week. We're proud of them, wish them well. Second, appreciate everyone who attended the Havelock Chamber of Commerce Salute to Veterans event on the 10th of May. The Secretary of North Carolina's Department of Military and Veterans Affairs was the speaker, General Gaskins, and since our base is so important to our economy, we appreciate his personal attention to our area. And third, tomorrow is voting for the primary and for the city of New Bern. For all of our citizens, please exercise your most important right as Americans and vote for the type of government that you want.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, Commissioner McKay.
I have nothing to report at this present time.
Okay. Commissioner Mark.
The only thing I have to report is that myself and Commissioner Booker are in the process of interviewing candidates to replace our president of the hospital, and we will get that today and I think next week, and that's all I have to report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vice Chair.
Last week, everybody on this board was fortunate and blessed to be able to attend a breakfast for hospice. I don't have the final number of what we raised. Anybody hear what that was, Jack? I meant to ask Jeff this morning, but anyway, it was a good turnout. I'm sure quite a bit of money was raised. This money that was raised by this breakfast is used for hospice patients' expenses that aren't covered by insurance and other means. So it's a good cause, and the turnout was great. So I thank everybody who was there and contributed to that event. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I have 2 items. First off, I don't know how many of you are familiar with when you're coming off the 4-lane turning at the Tuscarora exit. If you make the right turn, you come to an intersection there of Old 70. The road that you're coming off on is called Tuscarora Rims Road, and then there's Dry Ammonia Road. If you make the left and go up about half a mile is the landfill. At our CRSAMA meeting that we had last week, I addressed the board about the decision by North Carolina DOT to put a 4-way stop at this intersection. And the concern that was addressed at our meeting for CRSAMA was about trucks being able to make the left turn to get to the landfill. We've seen no plans from North Carolina DOT about what they're trying to do as far as implementing this 4-way stop. I was told by Mr. Jeff Cannabis last week that it is a new initiative throughout the state on intersections where there is congestion to put 4-way stops. I have a little bit of concern with it in that we just found out, number one, about it last Tuesday, and they're going to try to implement it tomorrow, put that 4-way stop there. I'm not trying to stop it as a commissioner, but there are a number of concerns from citizens, and especially from Persama, about our trucks being able to make that turn. Because if you go there right now, it just, trucks cannot normally turn into, make a right turn if there are cars sitting right there at the railroad track. It is sometimes congestion. I don't know if enough preparation, in my opinion, has been put forth in taking all this into consideration, especially with the amount of traffic there. Last week, Persama passed an authorizing our attorney, who is also our county attorney, Mr. Eric Grady, to draft a letter and send to them. They are meeting today with Persama. I'd also like this morning, though, to ask, and I did call Mr. Overholt Friday, addressed the concern with him. We played phone tag, never talked together, but he has heard my concern about it. What I'm asking for is that this project be paused, not stopped, but paused until adequate time can occur to allow for discussion and making sure that this configuration is right before we do it. Today, I know I'm springing this on you, but I'd like to ask the board if you would consider allowing me to draft a letter just saying, and getting it to DOT by the end of business today. Again, it's not to stop it, but to pause it until adequate time can be given for all interested parties to take into consideration of the impact this might have.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion and a second to authorize the letter to North Carolina DOT to be sent by the end of business today. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
I have a,
Yes, ma'am.
you were saying that these folk that are going like from New Bern to Kinston on 070 would have to stop at Drummond Road?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're also going to try to implement another one in the town of Coast City, put a four-way stop there. There is a lot of opposition to it by citizens. I mean, it's been the hot topic on my phone this past week from a number of citizens. Just the misunderstanding. There have been accidents at this location, but we all know, and I'm not taking light of it, but there are accidents at all intersections at some point in time. And just kind of when you're going 55 miles an hour, it's been like this longer than I've been alive.
You're on an open highway when you're doing.
Yeah. So, yes, sir.
I'm not trying to, are you finished on that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I failed to mention one thing that I needed to mention, and that is that last week, county manager, myself, Don, some of his staff, Lauren, you weren't there, were you? Okay. We went to the Baptist on Mission facility on Cherry Point Road. This is a building that's had about 3 different lives, and they took this building at the time of the hurricane and totally renovated it. And it is there for volunteer groups that come in to do work in our county. They originally did it for the hurricane relief, and I got to tell you, it is an impressive facility. The kitchen is a commercial kitchen. It has sleeping facilities and shower and bathroom facilities for over 90 people. Bunk beds, and well, one above another, kind of brought back Army memories. But different rooms, it's not one big room, but many different rooms with bunk beds. They continue, they are now moving from hurricane relief to just improvement in our county of homes, of people who are occupying houses that have needs like roofs and other floors, whatever, but they're living there, but they can't afford to make the improvements. They've got 2 or 3 groups coming in this summer that are going to fill this place. They've got a list, I think, Jack, help me, 40 to 50 projects right now that they're going to tackle and get done this year. And they're allowing we gave them a list of projects, some throughout our county, where we think they could add to their list, and they are willing to do that. So Lauren and Don and their group, Don's group, are working with these folks. It's an amazing thing. And just one last example, about 6 or 8 weeks ago, at my church on a Sunday morning, this group of young people started coming in the back door and filling the church. There were over 80. I would call them mostly late teens, early 20s. It turned out, I didn't know who they were. They were from Penn State University. They were taking their spring break to come to Craven County to work on projects. And they were here for an entire week. He said they were amazing. Most of them were engineering students. They weren't just a bunch of kids that didn't know anything. A lot of them were skilled, and they tackled a bunch of projects and worked here that whole week. And it gives you a hope for our youth, I guess, and the excitement. They were excited about being here. And so this is the kind of thing that goes on all year at this facility. People from all over the state mostly, but the country, they come in and work there. This building and facility are maintained by the Baptist churches throughout, the Southern Baptist churches throughout North Carolina. They fund it through their donations that come in from all the churches. So it was a very uplifting morning. We were there for a couple hours. They were very encouraging about what they're willing to do to help us tackle some of the challenges we have throughout the county. Don, Jack, anything to add to what I said?
I was just, Commissioner Booker, I'd echo everything you said. I was just surprised by the scale of work they're willing to do here. I know they have 55 and we had 20, but they're in this for the long haul. This could be permanent, from what I understood, and it's just developing that partnership between the county and the city, people who work to permit things so their work can be made easier, along with long-term funding, which they have some, but more.
Yeah, they also commented that they have a number of these facilities around the state that are permanent facilities, and now the plan is to make, and it's not final, but I believe it's going to happen, they're going to make this a permanent facility. And his comment was, the guy that runs it there, he said, we know there'll be another hurricane at some point, hopefully not for a long time, but if and when that happens, we're here and we're ready to tackle the recovery. So very, very exciting for this county.
Yes, very positive. Thank you all for going and looking over that facility. Last thing, I just want to echo Commissioner Mitchell's comments about the 55th annual commencement ceremony for Craven Community College. I represented this board there. Mr. Tom Pike spoke. Tom, the owner of Chick-fil-A, he great individual. He came had a conversation with him. He came here in 1980. And I think all of us has been here for a number of years. Remember, Chick-fil-A used to be in the mall. That was the place to go back in the day, especially in my youth. And he's employed probably thousands of young people, especially. He had folks to raise their hand at the commencement ceremony if they had ever worked for them. And you would have been amazed to see the number of hands that went up. Our superintendent of schools, Dr. Wendy Miller, actually worked for him, when she was coming out of school. So, great commencement. If it could have been any better day, I don't know how it could have happened weather-wise. But 674 students who graduated that day. They weren't all there in attendance, but there were 674 total that did graduate from Craven Community College. We're very blessed to have our college, and we appreciate the leadership of our president and board of trustees for all that they do. All right, anything to bring up under commissioners' reports? All right, hearing nothing, we do have a closed session. The board's requested to go closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 A and 4, in North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A1 to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body, and to prevent disclosure of information that is privileged and confidential. I'm going to ask for a motion to go in closed session. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? I want to ask that we take a 5-minute recess before we go. If there's no further discussion about going in closed session, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We'll take a 5-minute recess.